Yeah, no, it's a grocery store. There's a grocery store you pass when you go over the bridge over into Madeira
Mm.
Beach. That's where I worked. So working that area, you typically saw one of two things. You saw people that are going to the beach, they're in their swimsuits. They literally just came in to get chicken and some drinks. Or you got the old people that live nearby. That was all you saw.
That's life down there, at least in that area. Yeah, that's it right there. I grew about 25 minutes away from that beach and spent some time with family. When I got older, I spent time with a place called Gandy Beach. But we always hung out there. So, well, sometimes I should say. And yeah, I didn't. The nickname for that one, Redneck Rear Beer. I don't know if you heard that one before, not Cam, but yeah, that was Gandy Beach. That was kind of hanging out when I got older. But there, yeah, that was always cool to be around the family and Clearwater Beach is like the only beach is that like anybody hears about from up here. They don't know anything else but besides the Clearwater Beach is so popular. But
Hmm.
it's a nice beach too. But there's cool too. Absolutely, it's good to have that little time down there too.
Yeah, no, thank you for telling me the name because I would have never remembered. I was just like I had like a small inclination. I was like, I think it started with an M, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Legitimately, I was just listening for whether or not you're going to say Madeira, St. Pete, Indian Rocks, or Clearwater, because those are the most common ones that are hit by tourists.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no,
Most
Madeira
definitely.
was definitely it because I remember hearing it a couple times now. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that so because you've visited down here recently, it's way more built up than it was, say 15, 20 years ago. Before you used to be able to drive down and see straight to the beach. Now you got all those condos up in that area.
oh wow.
And it's actually been
Yeah.
it became a hot spot for late night life. Like there's a bunch of beach bars down there now. So,
Mm.
Yeah. It never fails. Every time I go down there, usually it's once a year to go to a concert. Every time me and him drive around, or if I'm by myself, I was like, dude, what the heck happened in my area? It built up so much. It's like I
mhm.
can't even tell what's going on anymore. So yeah, it's always getting built up somewhere or another.
Did
So
did were you while you're down here, did you get to check out WrestleMania? Did you go to it? What yeah.
No, unfortunately, no. I dedicated my Saturday evening. Well, I did watch some of it, like when we got back to the where we were staying, but I didn't like go check it out in person. I dedicated most of my Saturday to after I got done wrestling, spending it with my fiance, and then on Sunday we were just like we were ready to go home. Okay, we had a 15-hour drive, and some of us had to be at
Oof.
work on Monday, so it was like we kind of just had to get going.
yeah,
That's
I
understandable.
understand that. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So you're engaged. That's cool. If y'all mind me asking, so how long
Congratulations.
y'all? Yeah, definitely. That's the next thing I'd say. Congratulations to y'all on
Thank
that
you.
one. How long y'all been together?
We have been together for just over 3 years. So we started dating in January of 2018. So, yeah, and it's April of 21. So, yeah, a little over 3 years.
That's awesome. I'm bright for y'all. So, yeah, big congratulations to y'all.
Thank you.
I'm glad she. I guess she also obviously also supports what you're doing. So that's always obviously a plus side for support.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very blessed to have her support. And not only that, I mean, oftentimes her help in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I can't be thankful enough for her. I mean, just everything she does for me and our home life, like while I'm gone, and sometimes she'll travel with me too, especially like if I'm traveling to like a long show by myself. She'll make sure I have like a writing partner. If she's not going, she'll make sure I have plenty of food, take care of myself, and just she's very on top of it. So I'm very blessed. Yeah.
That's
Was
awesome.
she was she involved in wrestling prior to you meeting or no?
No, no,
No.
not like she vaguely knew what WWE was, but like she like knows she like knows who John Cena is, but like John Cena is also in movies, so like it's so yeah, so she didn't really know a lot about wrestling prior to us getting together.
You have to be more mature than I because if she only knew who John Cena was, anytime I would go to leave, I'd be just like, "You can't see me," and walk out the door. Like,
I can see. Also, I can see him do that too. By the way.
oh yeah, anyone that knows me, like my fiance would tell you that Like I'm immature. I'm a child. I'm a 30-year-old, 30-plus-year-old. Wow, child. So.
34.
Hey, it keeps it fun like that, So,
Oh no,
and
she'll totally
congratulations to
disagree with
you
you.
as well. So,
She'll totally disagree with you. She's like, I don't know why you keep doing things that annoy me just because you know they annoy me.
well, sometimes
Because
you're
it's
not trying
funny.
to be annoying. It's just funny. Yeah, you're just trying to be funny.
Yeah.
So, a question that we ask all our guests: what is your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
Ooh, man, see, like it's hard because like you're talking about like, see, like when I think about Rushmore, it's usually like I don't want to say older, but kind of. I mean, you look at it as like the foundational pieces that kind of like built it. Because like you look at like Mount Rushmore, like like
Yeah.
who's the latest president on there? I think Teddy maybe, which like he was what president in like the 16 maybe, like in that era. Like so like early 1900s.
Yeah.
There's been quite a few presidents since him, and some have been really good. So it's hard because I feel like you have to. I would have to break it up almost in like two categories where it's like you got like the new generation, like the new Mount Rushmore, and you got like the old Mount Rushmore. But that would take way too much time, so I'm only going to do one. um, but it would have to be for me. Um, I'm gonna have to mix here for me. So you have. Um, I think you have to put. Oh my gosh, see, I can't. I'm saying like you have to, but then I'm thinking about like all these names, and I'm like, I don't know. Um, Man, I'm trying to think of my criteria really fast. So this is a tough
Okay.
question. So,
And
so
it took me a minute because I'm like, wow, he really knew when Teddy Roosevelt was president. And I'm like, wait, political science major. That makes a lot more sense, actually.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think you give the wrong question to a political science major.
Yeah.
It is kind of like whoever influenced you the most, I would say then.
Yeah. So like, well, if it was down to influence, then so when I watch like when I watch like the generation that built wrestling per se. So like you got like your the Flair ish era of like wrestling. For me,
Mm-hmm.
the biggest influence for me from that era is Ricky Steamboat, actually,
Yeah.
because the stuff he was doing was so unique from what other wrestlers in his era were doing. Him and Macho Man have like the famous WrestleMania 3 match where it's way different than anything that was like done up to that point mainstream. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like
absolutely.
so like for me, Ricky Steamboat goes on there because he was like a pioneer of like
Absolutely.
that style.
I
Um,
understand that.
so he's like my George Washington, I guess. Like he's like this is the founding of, even though he goes way back farther, and you got your Flairs and you got all those guys. So it's like but for me he's there, and then you have who comes after. So like then, so he was I don't know if he's like I respect this guy a lot for what he's done, and I always have enjoyed him. I've never considered him one of my favorites, but his work just consistently holds up, and that's Jushin Thunder Liger.
Okay.
Like yeah. So like he's one of the all-time greats. I think that goes without question.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's not somebody that I had really ever thought of as my favorite, but then when I'm sitting here thinking about this question, I'm like, he's got to go up there. He's like a pioneer of like that '90s junior style.
Yeah.
He's like the king of that.
Yeah,
And a lot,
absolutely.
and then I think of my favorite wrestlers today, and who do they all cite as the reason why they do what they do? Jushin Liger,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's amazing. So it's like, and he also
absolutely.
does a shooting star press, which we talked about earlier. So like
Yeah.
Jushin Liger, of course, like he's got to be on there. So you got Steamboat, and then you got Jushin Thunder Liger. Then you have, and this one's a little more modern, but I would actually probably put Chris Jericho on my Mount Rushmore. And a lot of people would probably question that because they're like, they think of like, The Rock or like Cena or Hogan. I mean, he's been around for all those guys,
Yeah.
like when they were the top guys, so to speak. But that's the main reason why I would put him up there is because Chris Jericho has constantly found ways to be a top level wrestler for any companies that he's worked for like 20 years. So longevity is like the thing with him. He has found ways to make it work, like no matter what. So like Chris Jericho, it would be on there 100%. Uh, then
Absolutely. Yeah, I can agree with that one too.
then my last person it's like a tie. I would have to have like a half face. I'd have to have like half Rey Mysterio, half Amazing Red because they're my two favorite wrestlers. But then the the way they have influenced modern high flying style of wrestling. Like, I mean, I bet if you grabbed all the high flyers together, you had them in a room and you asked who are your main influences, I would put money on every single one of them saying Amazing Red Rey Mysterio. So that's like they have to go up there as like a half.
Okay.
So there's like five. I have like five on mine, but instead of
Yeah.
four.
No, you're fine. You can go for 4 or 5. I mean, it's all good. Yeah, you mentioned some names that ain't nobody else has mentioned before. Nothing wrong with that. It's cool. You got a different side, a different thought, a different side of things. So that's cool to hear some different names too. I think the one that was different than our usual answers that
Right.
people have was the last time we had Dusty Rhodes. So it's
Yeah,
it's
like
it's
and
cool. You had
totally.
all different. Yeah, it's cool. You had a different aspect. You did a different thought
Yeah,
about that. It's cool.
I guess that's why I find that question so hard is because like you'll say a name and I'll be like, duh, like they should be on there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
yeah.
like that's the thing. Like that. Thank goodness I don't have to actually decide this because I
So
would make a lot of people very mad. But but
and
but we all would be in a way, because we all have different like slants on
Well,
wrestling.
it's all
Like I might even put Alex Shelley on my Mount Rushmore. Like I don't care, like because I think he's awesome.
well,
yeah.
and one of the things you mentioned, everyone has a different slant because wrestling is all subjective, and you can usually get an inkling of what the person character base is from based on who they select. So, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
Dusty Rhodes, the guy that mentioned Dusty Rhodes was this big guy that's learning how, very much on the character work. He leans heavy on character work and cutting promos. That's what Dusty was good at. We had
Sure.
someone that mentioned Rick Rude. Okay, that makes total sense for who said that. You know what I mean? It's always been that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So your influence is
Um,
always a big part of who you are.
Yeah.
the one
Well,
I,
yeah. Go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the one thing I find interesting is three of your guys have something to do with each other. You mentioned Ricky Steamboat. Jericho was inspired by Ricky Steamboat to become a wrestler because of his size. You also mentioned Juicer Thunder Liger. Jericho wrestled in New Japan as the evil Jushin Thunder Liger.
Right. Yeah.
And so you had that all tied in together. And Jushin Thunder Liger just got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this
Very
year.
well deserved. Yeah. Very well deserved.
So
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Yeah. It makes sense
so
to
like
have it that way.
those guys. When I look at like now, I mean, I watch a lot of modern wrestling, admittedly, but whenever I do go back and I watch, I don't want to say older wrestling, but I mean it's just older to me, I guess. But like when I'm trying to watch older wrestling, I mean those are like the names that I go to. I'm
mhm.
like, okay, Ricky Steamboat, okay, Jushin Liger, okay, Jericho when he was younger. Like what are these guys doing, or what were these guys doing? What helped elevate them? You know what I mean? Like, or
Mhm.
like what were they doing? And that's like the thing. Red, Alex Shelley, Rey Mysterio, like all my influences. Like uh, it's just awesome. Like and all of them kind of have a story of longevity too. I feel like like they had long, prosperous careers.
Mhm.
So it's like, which is probably something I want for myself. So maybe
Right.
that's part of it too. But those guys have all been just huge influences on me, and people that I love to watch wrestle.